The president's trade team is working again at Trump speed as quickly as they can to ensure that these deals can be made.
Conversations yet with China happening?
I actually do have something to share on that. I asked the president about this before coming out here, and he wanted me to share with all of you that we're doing very well in respect to a potential trade deal with China.
Mr. President, on China, your press secretary has suggested that some progress is being made. Are negotiations actively underway? And do you agree with Secretary Bessent, who has suggested that the current standoff with China is not sustainable?
We're doing fine with China. We're doing fine with I think almost every country. Everybody wants to have involvement with the United States. We're doing really well. I see the stock market was up nicely, but this is a transition period, and it's going to be a little while, but we are doing well with every country.
But started with China.
Are you going to play hardball with them? Are you going to mention COVID?
Well, I'm not going to say, no, I'm not going to mention COVID. I'm not going to say, I'm going to play hardball with China. I'm going to play hardball with you, President Xi. No. We're going to be very nice. They're going to be very nice, and we'll see what happens. But ultimately, they have to make a deal because otherwise they're not going to be able to deal in the United States. So we want them involved, and if they don't make a deal, we'll set the deal because we're the ones that set the deal.
与交往合作达成了一些。
Of times.
She or they?
Well, the same. I view it. We were losing $5 billion a day.
Today, Treasury Secretary Bessent suggested that with tariff rates as high as they are now, it's effectively an embargo of trade between the United States and China. Do you see that?
That's true. 145% is very high, and it won't be that high. It's not going to be that high.
It'll come down to if you haven't.
It'll come down substantially, but it won't be zero. It used to be zero. We were just destroyed. China was taking us for a ride, and just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I think we're going to live together very happily and ideally work together. So I think it's going to work out very well. But no, it's at 145%. There will not be anywhere near that number.
You said you're ultimately going to make a deal with China, but where do things stand right now? Have you talked to him?
I think my relationship with President Xi is great. If we don't make a deal, we'll set it. We'll just set the number, and I think they'll want to be a part of the United States. We're doing great.
Has the president spoken directly with Xi yet?
I don't have anything to read out on a direct talk between the president and President Xi, but we will continue to keep you updated.
근데 트럼프가 또 이번에도 갑자기 협상장에 등장할 수 있는 가능성이 있다고 보시는지, 만약 그렇다면 또 대처 계획이 또 있으신지.
그런 가능성에 대해서도 저희가 열어놓고 대비를 하고 있습니다.
일각에서는 협상과 관련해서 속도 조절이 좀 필요하다는 신중론도 나오고 있습니다.
저희가 지금 차분하고 신중하게 협상을 준비를 하고 있습니다. 다만 지금 25% 관세가 부과가 돼서 그 산업에 큰 피해가 있는 자동차 부분 같은 경우에는 제가 최대한 신속하게 해결책을 마련하도록 최선을 다할 계획입니다.
No, we're taking in billions and billions of dollars while I sit here. Important than the chairman of the Federal Reserve. I think that hasn't come down, but it hasn't gone up much, are interest rates, and we think the Fed should lower the rate. We think that it's a perfect time to lower the rate. We'd like to see our chairman be early or on time as opposed to late. Late's not good. I don't want to talk about that because I have no intention of firing him.
Right, you have no intention of firing Jerome Powell because your economic advisor, Kevin Hassett, a few days ago said that you and people in the White House were studying this idea of possibly before his term ends. No. Do you have any plans on doing that?
None whatsoever. Never did. The press runs away with things. No, I have no intention of firing him. I would like to see him be a little more active in terms of his idea to lower interest rates. This is a perfect time to lower interest rates. If he doesn't, is it the end? No, it's not. But it would be good timing. It could have taken place earlier. But no, I have no intention to fire him. I don't want to comment on that. That doesn't matter.
Mr. President, has there been any direct contact between the U.S. and China on trade at all?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And
every day.
Every day.
对于美国发动的关税战，中方的态度 很明确，我们不愿打，也不怕打，打奉陪到底，谈大门敞开。如果美方真的想通过对话谈判，就应该停止威胁讹诈，在平等、尊重、互惠的基础上同中方对话。
China is saying that we're threatening and blackmailing them into a deal. What would be your response?
Well, I mean, China, look, I have great relationships in China, with President Xi in particular, but China has been charging us massive tariffs for many years. That's one of the reasons they were able to steal so many of our companies. So now we're reversing it, but at levels that nobody's ever seen before. No, we're going to get along great with China, I have no doubt about it.
You've clarified, Mr. President, on China.
We are going to have a... We're doing fine. We're doing fine with I think almost every country. Everybody wants to have.
"中方早就指出，关税战、贸易战没有赢家，保护主义没有出路，脱钩断链只会孤立自己。一边说要同中方达成协议，一边不断搞，这不是同中方打交道的正确方式，也是。"
It's an adult. I wish to be clear. America first does not mean America alone.
America first doesn't mean America alone.
You said you want to bring the tariffs on China down soon. How soon do you want to bring the tariffs on Chinese goods
Well,
down?
that depends on them. If we don't have a deal with a company or a country, we're going to set the tariff. We just set the tariff. It's something that we think that will happen, I'd say, over the next couple of weeks. What do you say? I think so. Over the next 2-3 weeks. We'll be setting the number.
For China.
And we're going to pick, could be for China too, could be for China. Well, we're dealing with almost all of them. Too many to fully deal with, but we're going to be fair to them. But we're dealing with a lot of countries right now, and could be with China, but maybe we'll make a special, a deal. And we'll see what it will be. Right now it's 145%, that's very high.
Were you worried about what the 145% tariffs were doing to small businesses here in the U.S.? Is that why you're bringing it down?
No, I haven't brought it down. I haven't brought it, still 145. I haven't
But you said in the next
I said it's a high tariff. It is a high tariff, but I haven't brought it down. It basically means China's not doing any business with us, essentially, because it's a very high number. We can make a deal. Otherwise, we'll set a price, and hopefully they'll come here and they'll contribute. And if they don't, that's okay.
There's been a steep drop-off in international travel to the United States. It was down 12% last month, down even more from Western Europe. Why do you think that there are fewer people suddenly who want to travel to the United States?
Well, there could be a little, there's a little nationalism there, I guess, perhaps. It's not a big deal, but, with the dollar being where it is, because, China would always fight for having a low dollar. Japan would always fight for having a low dollar, meaning a low yen. They'd always want to have, I'd speak to President Xi a lot. I'd say it's unfair that your yuan is so low. I'd call up. There was a time from 1870 to 1913, it's a long time ago, we were an all-tariff nation. Foreign nations paid taxes. They paid money to us in the form of tariffs. And that was when we were the wealthiest. We were the wealthiest proportionately that we ever were. And they formed committees in 1887 in particular, but they formed committees to determine what we should do with all the money. We had so much money, we gave it away to different causes, and you haven't seen that too much anymore, although we give plenty away, but now we shouldn't be giving it away. We have to take care of ourselves first, right? I like that question. Yeah, please.
Question on China. Can you clarify with whom the U.S. is speaking with China? They're saying it's fake news that trade talks are happening.
Well, they had a meeting this morning, so I can't tell you. It doesn't matter who they is. We may reveal it later, but they had meetings this morning, and we've been meeting with China. And so I think you have, Jeff, as usual, I think you have your reporting wrong.
中美双方并没有就关税问题进行磋商或谈判，这些都是假消息。
中美经贸谈判进展的说法都是捕风捉影，没有事实依据。
这场关税战是由美方发起的，打奉陪到底。
Which leaders do you want to meet, sir?
Well, I'd like to meet them all. That would be nice. I'd like to take care of all of them, but we have many of them there, and they all want to meet. They want to meet about trade. And we are making some great inroads and great deals. You might want to speak about that, Mr. Secretary.
We had a very successful bilateral meeting with the Republic of South Korea today. We may be moving faster than I thought, and we will be talking technical terms as early as next week as we reach an agreement on understanding as soon as next week. So South Koreans came early, they came with their A game, and we will see if they follow through on that.
한국에 부과된 관세에 대한 면제와 예외가 필요하다는 입장을 전달하였습니다. 특히 우리 경제의 부정적 효과가 가장 큰 자동차 분야에 대해 중점 설명하였습니다.
이번 회담에서는 한미 양국 간의 향후 협의 틀에 대한 원칙적 합의가 있었습니다.
We have every other country. I can't think of one country that doesn't want to negotiate a deal. We don't have to go through all of these. It would be physically impossible. And we are going to, at some point, just set prices for deals. The United States has been ripped off like no country probably in the history of the world has been ripped off for 45, 50 years. And countries have gotten rich by doing that with the United States. We've taken care of their militaries, and military is another subject we talk about. We're not going to make that subject to any of the deals, but you know the same countries that I do where we virtually take care of their military and then don't get treated fairly on trade. So the people, and I don't blame those countries, I blame the people that sat at that beautiful desk right behind you. China paid not 10 cents to any other president. Virtually every country got away with murder, and we just can't let that happen. I didn't like last night. I wasn't happy with it. And we're in the midst of talking peace, and missiles were fired. And I was not happy with it. That's what I meant, and that's, what it said. I assume that's what you mean.
Sorry.
Yeah.
If the bombs keep falling, will you consider additional sanctions toward Russia, or what will you do if President Putin does not
I'd rather answer that question in a week. I want to see if we can have a deal. No reason to answer it now, but I won't be happy. Let me put it that way. Things will happen.
Mr. President, why are you not putting more pressure on Russia? I know a lot of Europeans.
Putting a lot of pressure. You don't know what pressure I'm putting on Russia. They're dealing. You have no idea what pressure I'm putting on Russia. We're putting a lot of pressure.
Can you maybe tell us that?
We're putting a lot of pressure on Russia, and Russia knows that, and some people that are close to it know, or he wouldn't be talking right now.
What concessions, Mr. President, and to your national security team, what concessions has Russia offered up thus far to get to the point where you're closer to peace?
Stopping the war. Stopping taking the whole country. pretty big concession.